Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy buenas tardes a todos. Les damos una cordial bienvenida a este nuevo webinar. Bueno, el día de hoy tengo el agrado de presentarles esta nueva línea de Digigram, que bueno, que ya les hemos mandado información en el pasado, pero el día de hoy nos vamos a enfocar en todo lo que es la producción de audio remota usando Digigram, la serie Explora. ¿Ok? Como siempre, recuerden, este seminario está siendo grabado, de tal manera que todos aquellos de ustedes que no hayan podido asistir el día de hoy, después se les va a hacer llegar el enlace para que lo puedan ver ya sobre demanda. El otro tema, recuerden las preguntas que tengan, favor de colocarlas en la sección de preguntas y respuestas, porque de esa manera van a quedar grabadas, ¿no? Este seminario vamos a tratar de hacerlo bastante interactivo, ¿sí? De hecho, el día de hoy nos acompaña Brittany Hilton, que es la especialista en demos viene de Syntax, ¿sí? Syntax, para que ubiquen, es el Master Distributor, sí, de estos productos para las Américas en general, y nosotros trabajamos muy de cerca con ellos. Y también nos acompaña Carlos Noguera, ¿sí? Gerente de ventas de Syntax, ¿sí? Creo que probablemente a lo mejor algunos de ustedes ya lo conocen. ¿Sí? ¿Qué tal, Carlos? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias Ricardo. Sí, yo creo que conozco muchos de ellos de toda la trayectoria. ¿Cómo están? A los que conozco, a los que no me conocen, Carlos Noguera, gerente de ventas de Syntax para Latinoamérica. Cualquier cosa, pues estamos a la orden.
Perfecto, gracias. Y bueno, también nos acompaña Adrián Bazán. Adriancito, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por su presencia.
Excelente. Y Diego Pantoni desde la hermana República de Chacabuco. Dieguito, ¿cómo estás?
¿Qué tal, Ricardo? Un gusto estar con Brittany, Carlos, Adrián otra vez. Así que bien listo para ver lo que tenemos hoy ah, para nuestros amigos de Latinoamérica, ¿no?
Excelente. Y bueno, les cuento que Brittany es la persona que nos va a apoyar con la presentación el día de hoy. Ella es experta en toda esta línea de productos. Eh, la presentación va a ser en inglés, así es que si alguien tiene alguna duda o algo, cosa que no le haya quedado clara, nos lo pueden hacer saber en la sesión de preguntas y respuestas, y nosotros vamos a estar apoyándolos en tiempo real, ¿ok? Entonces, sin más, bueno, los dejo con Brittany. Brittany, if you want to share your screen.
Hi there, thank you. Right.
Let me stop sharing mine so you can share yours.
Oh.
Perfect.
All right, can everybody see it? All right, we can see Digigram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right. I'm Brittany, Digigram Syntax, the Digigram specialist for broadcast in the Americas, North America specifically, because I no habla español. Carlos does it for me. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our product. I just want to lay out what our typical infrastructure looks like so you guys can plug and play for your architect or your ecostructure, however you want to convey this to your clients or to your resellers, dealers, etc. So if you're starting on the left, you can see that this is more of the remote side of the contribution to the centralized studio. So you would have items like the IKEA Talk, which we will kind of demonstrate today, which I have actually live behind me. And you'll be able to see me connect in a live setting here in a little while. We have the IKEA guest and Q mic. I do have a guest link that we can demonstrate live as well. The serve link, which the IKEA Talk and the guest can connect to, or it can be in distribution mode, and I'll show you that later. And then the IKEA guest, which just is over the laptop, which is the application I'll be showing you. So the top IKEA Connect, or the IKEA Talk, as well as the bottom IKEA guest, that's what I'll be demonstrating to the studio side, as well as towards the distribution side. To get a little bit more information about our fleet and how it operates, I just want to give a high-level view of our full codec line. So not only is the IKEA Talk, which is in the next couple of slides, you'll have the LE, which is a simple 2 mono channel or 1 stereo. Same as the ST, but the ST is going to have a little bit more glitz and glamour, a little bit more special because it has an LED panel where you can toggle to see the IPv4, the DNS, and you can actually set all those parameters from the box, and you don't have to be inside the actual GUI. So if you already know that your 10.10.1.10 or 166.123.1.2, you can program that into your ST and it will go ahead and just send or connect live. A similar thing for the dual, you're going to have 2 stereo pair or 4 mono channels being sent. Then you can step up to the AES67. So if you have a console that is just an AES67 type of infrastructure, you could be able to connect directly into that. And it starts with a pair, and you buy licenses that go up to 16 mono or the other stereo. Same thing for the MPX. That actually is going to start with a 2 stereo pair up to 16 mono or 8 stereo. And the MPX we'll cover in the latter part of the conversation, which is more in the distribution side. And then the serve link is the benchmark that actually starts at 4 channels and goes all the way up to 128 mono or 64 stereo. And those are licensed packages that if you only need 32 channels, you pay for the 32 channels. You don't have to buy 128 channels on your codecs. Just to give you a little bit of backfill information about the products. Everybody likes to see the back of the panel. This is just a standard ST. You can see on the back side that there's actually an SD card backup, and you can program that in the GUI, either through the Connect infrastructure or through the actual box. So if you want to do an Ethernet, if you want to do an Ethernet hard jack into it, type in your code. You know, I have it programmed right now for 192.168.1.100, so you can get into the first port. And that's just generic. You change it however you want to, but that's how you get into the GUI. And then you can do a failover to an SD card, which is always nice when you set up a silence detection. So you don't even need a Burke ARC, you know, sensor or anything like that to detect a failover. You can automatically inside the box say, you know, once it's made it past 2 seconds, 3 seconds, at 15 minutes of silence, whatever you want to set that threshold to, you can do it inside the box to fail over to an SD card. Again, you've got your LED metering off to the side. You can replicate that so you can see all of your lights flashing. That's just letting you know that there's audio running on some of the channels, whichever one you're wanting to tune in to listen to. And you can do that on the front panel again, or you can do it inside the GUI. There's redundant power supplies on all of the codecs, including the Ikoya Talk. That's actually a battery backup for that one. Now, the serve link actually has a little bit more of a special hot swappable power supply. We're not going into the serve link too much. We're looking at the remote today, but the serve link, you'll just simply click it, pop it, pull it out, call up Carlos or me and say, hey, you know what? We've got a bum power supply. I need to just send that back. That way you don't have to take out your 128 channel rack unit for whatever is going on. You just send it in or say we got an issue, we'll send you another one, or Digigram will. RS-232, USB inputs. So say you need to do some more firmware upgrades, you don't want to use your Ethernet jack, you can do it through USB. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So now I'm going to move on to the Ikoya Talk, which is where we're going to spend most of our conversation today. The Ikoya Talk is our version of the portable codecs. Some people are probably familiar with a USB portable codec from Thailand or from Comrex. This is one of the competitions to it, and I say that loosely because it does work third party with the other systems. So Thailand and Comrex, you can do a third party SIP connection directly from the box or from the connected infrastructure. But this is our version of a portable codec that can, again, talk to our products or other people's through a SIP connection. And I'll go to the next page so you can see everything. So you have the wireless, you've got the Wi-Fi right in the middle. And actually, you don't even need the Wi-Fi antenna. We were working with it a few weeks ago and didn't even screw it in, and it was still being able to connect to the Wi-Fi. Then you have your dual cell modems, and this can be used for a forward error correction type of atmosphere or a cellular bonding. The way that it's set standard is just a 1-to-1. So you would take one cell phone input and one cell phone input, and you do a failover. But you can do a cellular bonding whenever you program it. And that would be in your configuration settings. And I don't think we're going to go that deep today, unless you guys really want to get down in the weeds, and we can. We do have 2 Ethernet jacks on the back. I think that's on the next slide. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to that one. 2 Ethernet jacks on the back. Just to make it live for everybody. So, okay, so you see it's connected, right? There we go. So I've got mine connected right there. So if you have another external cell router modem that you want to have connected, I've got mine connected to like a Max Connect. So it has a priority SIM, but you can hardline it into your infrastructure as well. Just for your basic internet. So it's a redundancy. I suggest if you're going to have a mission critical audio transmission that you're going to have one connection and another connection separately. And you would use the Ikoya Connect infrastructure to manage this. And we have, for all intents and purposes, the ST demonstrated here, where you have a single program send, and you have either talkback 1 or 2. Now, if you're sending this in a mono sense, you can talk to 2 separate codecs, or you can have your talkback going live, as well as your main commentary and your main information going on to codec 1 or codec 2, whichever you want to have it programmed. And it's discrete lines, so there's no interfade, there's no like toggle, it's a separate phone line, so you can distribute that wherever you need to, and you can dial that directly from the interface. I'm going to give a brief overview on the Connect infrastructure or the cloud. And again, we're going to do a demonstration here in just a second. The Ikoya Guest is another version of a portable codec, and it's shown here on the phone because it can be used on the phone. There's no app required. There's no fee for the customer or the end user. Say it's a television station and they want to talk about a new solution for X, Y, and Z. They can simply email a link over to the customer or the end user, and they just simply push the button. And I'll show you that in just a second, how easy it is. Or you can send a programmed email as well. Now I'm going to get out here for a second. I want to show you what I was talking about with the live configuration of Ikoya Connect. So how you would typically see this set up is once you get your box, whether it's Ikoya Talk or one of your rack units, which is behind me. I only have a few racked right now because I've got them in the demo case. You would set up a user. You guys can see that I'm right here, Carlos is in here. We have multiple people that are in here as a user. The reason why you have it as a user is because you can configure each person or each customer or each radio or TV station to have their own identities. You can have me talking to codec only 1 and 2, and that's it. And then you can have Ricardo talking to the whole fleet. Like right now, I can talk to the whole fleet. But say I only want Carlos or Diego to only talk to 2 people. They're only allowed to talk to me, and they're only allowed to talk to Ricardo. I can set that up right here, and you would modify the user, add the user, etc. You make sure whatever they want to use. So say I don't want me to be admin, or I want them to be producer, etc. You can also configure the user, and this is going to build into the actual connection in just a moment. So when you see this configuration, right now I have this configuration built in, and it's called a call profile list. If you're unfamiliar with it, these are the algorithms that you could use for distribution of your audio to your studio or contribution. Many codecs use Opus. So say you want to connect to a Comrex or a Tieline or an APT or an AEQ, any of the other products, including our own, and say you want to use Opus, you can use this particular product. You select it, or I can deselect as many as I want to. This is where the contact list comes to fruition, is I can select whoever I want to connect to on a daily basis. And I can also simplify it as well. So if you see way down here, this is who we're actually going to connect to here in a minute, Synfax headquarters. I can also look at my SIP protocol, and this is where you would get your information to do a third-party integration. For instance, if you have on your advanced setting in a Comrex Access NX, you would go to your advanced options, and then you would type in your server domain name, passwords, etc. And that's how you would get your information to talk SIP directly back to it, and you would have a third-party information. You also would have your codec fleets, and this is where you'll see some of our products that are already up, whether they be at corporate location, which is this one, whether they be like the talk, which you'll be able to see this connect in a minute. This is the Acquia guest solution, which you guys will be able to take a look here in just a moment. For all intents and purposes, let's use I'll just do Carlos. This is the link that I was talking about that you just very well email off to people. And it's probably going to produce some audio here in a second. I'm going to give a nice little phone call. Can you guys hear audio?
Not yet.
No, not really.
Okay. So were you able to hear audio coming through my computer? Or Ricardo, or any of you? Okay.
No.
No audio from your computer.
Okay, only from the computer. Okay. All right. I don't have an external system for it. Okay, well, so it would connect, which I just did. And Carlos, I'm probably gonna actually put this in the chat bar. And as I was talking with Carlos earlier, one at a time, you can click the connection and take a look at it, listen to it. Ricardo, if you want to do it first, and you can pass it along if you'd like to, you can click call the connection, and then you'll be able to hear just what headquarters is actually broadcasting on their codec. And this would be a way for you to communicate with that particular codec if you wanted to lay a voice track over it, or it being brought into a console. And you can take a look at that. And like I said, just pass it on down if you want to. You can also do a guest to guest link, which if Carlos and I wanted to use this as a walkie-talkie per se, I would email them off this link, or it would create a pretty little email. And Carlos, if you want to later on, you can share those emails that we worked on recently. Add them to the address book, and you also get a recording no matter what right down here. So say if you have someone who's interviewing and they really don't want a copy of it, maybe the talent got upset and they really don't like that recording, but you thought it was gold and you want to use it in your radio broadcast, and maybe they said something that was outrageous and you want to have a copy of it, or maybe this is just a confidential conversation that you need to keep a recording of it. It automatically saves to the cloud, and then you can download it. So no matter what, if I say I don't want a recording and Carlos doesn't want a recording, that's fine. It saves to the cloud and we still download it. So that's where it's housed for the recordings for the guest part of the conversation.
Okay. Actually, I was able to connect and use the link, but I don't know if, I didn't want to talk because I don't know if it could be a conflict since I'm using the same computer, both Zoom and that connection. So I don't know if Carlos could send me the link via email. I could use my iPhone, right?
Yeah.
The way I'm using a different audio source, right? So
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah, if he just emails that link off to you on your iPhone, you can use your email. Just click on the link, and you'll be able to hear.
Ricardo, check your WhatsApp, please.
Oh, so what's up? Okay, hold on. There you go. Okay, let me access that. Okay, allow.
So
Okay.
Brittany, the recording is automatically done, but by
Yes.
it's
So
not
the recording is automatic. You can see here where I've demoed some of
for
this.
every code. For every code.
Just in,
No.
I'm sorry.
Trying to connect to speak.
Probably because I am in the call, but I don't know if you can hear the music.
Yeah, I can hear the music, Adrian.
I can hear.
Okay, that is what
is yours.
Yes, well, that is the syntax headquarters, right?
Right. So I can see that it's connected, or someone is connected right now, and it is a guest. You can see right here, this is the call monitoring, which we were going to move on to in a minute. But yes, so if you're connected, someone in guest is connected to Syntax 1 and 2, which is the codec, which is communicating live. And so whoever's on it, if I want to, this kind of mitigates over to the Equa guest. If I'm moving too fast again, tell me to stop and back up. It just kind of like flew like straight into the call monitoring. If I want to, what I can do as your studio engineer, I can come right here and I can go ahead and end the call, which I'm going to end. I can end the call as I want to, right? So I can also initiate a phone call or a codec call as well, and I can dial it from the web browser. So for instance, I know that my codec 1 and 2 is free at the moment, and I'm going to use whatever algorithm, and I'm going to connect. And so you can see that it's starting to connect. So you can call, you can connect, and actually it's turning off now. So you can see that you can initiate the phone call from the infrastructure as well as from the unit itself. So if you need a rescue and you need to call somebody, so just like I was right here on the web, I can call Syntax 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, cool.
Turn it off so it's not a whole bunch of background music. But so I can do that with the talk back as well. So I can be talking to different codecs back at the studio. That's some of the remote capabilities that the studio engineer would have at their disposal. So they can be at a football game or soccer game, tennis match, and they're running multiple remotes. Well, they can manage the whole entire infrastructure from here. And you can see on the right side, if you wanted to bring additional guests in or monitor additional people that might be using the codecs, you can say, okay, whoever's free right now. So if I want to bring Syntax 5 and 6 over, I'm already being monitored on that one. So it's down here. So if I wanted to call on that one, I could. So that becomes my dashboard where I can figure and I can call these people, right?
Right. Right.
And it also shows a call history. So say if it errored out, or if it, stopped just abruptly, you'll be able to see that it was intentionally stopped or it was started, however you need to.
Okay. So basically, just to, go over what you just did, right? You have the Quoya Connect at the studio, right? And then you can have multiple Quoya talk units, right, on the field, and then or the Quoya the guest, right, which you can connect using your cell phone, right, or any device, right, and then connect to the studio. Basically, this workflow, I see many applications here, right? One of them for broadcast, for example, if you have, sports presenters, right? Working from home, right? Transmitting, a live soccer game or a baseball game, right? So they have a professional unit like the Quoya Talk, right? Connected to a microphone. Then they have a direct connection to the studio. The studio receives the signal. And then with the Quoya Connect, you distribute, right, the signal depending on the model, on the codecs that you want to use, right? For example, let's say, speaking about our channel, which most of them are now vis-a-vis resellers. So basically, the customer has a TriCaster unit, right? For example, TriCaster supports Dante, right? So once you receive the audio feeds, right, and the Quoya Connect, and if you have Dante support, then the TriCaster will see it on the same network, and they can, grab the feeds and use it as part of the production.
Right, you would do talk to ServeLink that will speak Dante out to your Dante infrastructure.
Correct.
You just have your Dante controller in there to route it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Right, or you can use the the analog outputs and connect it directly to a TriCaster unit, right? For example, right? Or any other or an audio mixed unit or whatever. So I just want to point out the potential here. So let me switch to Spanish so I can explain to them, right? Because I think it's important.
There's one more thing, Ricardo. This screen that I have up so you can explain to them, this is a live console where each of the connections I can increase the volume, decrease the volume. I can also switch the mix in the headphones. So say there is a talent that is radio broadcasting that is calling a soccer game or football game. They can, I don't want to hear the program in my right or left. I can change that live through here. I can also see what's going on with my program, and I can do that live per codec. So
so you have total control of that.
Yeah, you have control over all of it.
Excellent. Okay, so let me switch back to Spanish so that I can give a quick explanation. Okay, si se dieron cuenta, obviamente es un dispositivo bien interesante, una solución bien interesante para conectar gente, o sea que está por audio en diferentes lugares, ¿no? El Quoya Talk es un dispositivo portátil, si se dieron cuenta, para audio profesional. Tiene entradas analógicas, directamente pueden conectar micrófonos y de ahí puede ser un presentador o múltiples presentadores. Ese equipo se puede conectar, si se dieron cuenta, de diferentes maneras. Se puede conectar por Ethernet, si tienen conexión directa por cable Ethernet, puede ser por Wi-Fi o puede ser también por bonding, ¿no? Usando el celular. Va a depender de a lo que se tenga acceso, ¿no? Entonces, esa señal la toma, hace la codificación y pueden hacer una conexión directa al estudio a través de los otros modelos que presentó Brittany al principio, ¿no? Por ejemplo, el Quoya Connect, ¿sí? El dispositivo que recibe esas señales en el estudio y ya ese dispositivo, dependiendo de lo que quieran hacer, las distribuye. Pueden salir directamente análogo y de ahí conectarlo a un mezclador de audio, un mixer de audio, o directamente, por ejemplo, si tienen un flujo de trabajo donde tienen TriCaster o cualquier otra solución, pueden conectarlo directamente valga la redundancia, a las entradas del equipo. pero también soporta obviamente códecs para trabajar por IP, audio por IP, por ejemplo, como Dante. Entonces, si tienen Dante y TriCaster, tienen un TriCaster 2 Elite, por ejemplo, que tiene soporte para Dante, se pueden directamente recibir las señales y ya integrarlas en la producción. Entonces, esto es algo bien interesante porque es muy simple de implementar. Y si ustedes tienen, o si el cliente en dado caso tiene un reportero en la calle, o a lo mejor están haciendo una entrevista remota con alguna persona que no tiene un equipo profesional, pues simplemente usa su teléfono celular, como lo hizo Brittany, nos manda el enlace, un link, le dan clic ahí y automáticamente ya esa persona se puede conectar, la reciben directamente en el equipo, en el Explora Connect, como una fuente más, y desde ahí ya pueden administrarlo y recibir. Si se fijaron, pueden tener múltiples personas conectadas, ¿sí? De diferentes dispositivos. Puede ser el Explora Talk, puede ser directamente con el Explora Guest, y pueden usar directamente su teléfono y de ahí distribuirlo cuando lo reciben. Entonces, quiero que se den cuenta, aunque obviamente eh, hay muchas más opciones, pero quiero que se den una idea del potencial de esto. Porque yo sé que mucha gente, muchos de ustedes dicen, no, yo audio casi no me meto porque esto no es tanto lo mío. Pero este tipo de soluciones les ayudan mucho a tener una solución mucho más completa y una oferta más completa para sus clientes, si se dieron cuenta. Entonces, quería hacer un pequeño repaso, ¿no? Entonces, si alguien de repente tiene alguna pregunta o algo que no le haya quedado claro, háganla si quieren en español o lo hacen en inglés, no hay ningún problema. Igual los vamos a estar apoyando. Ok, so go back to you,
Ricardo,
Brittany.
Ricardo, déjame
Sí,
añadir algo, ¿no?
sí, adelante.
El sistema es tan poderoso que el ingeniero en la estación puede tener control absoluto del encoder. Quiere decir que, digamos, tienes una estación donde tienes 10 reporteros y no necesitas tener, por ejemplo, una Koya Talk para cada uno asignado por temas de configuración, sino que puedes tener 3. Y el ingeniero hace el setup en el estudio de cómo el Alcoya Talk se va a comportar en el campo. Entonces, cuando tenemos talentos de estos que son bonitos, pero que no saben cómo manejar un equipo y cómo programarlo, él simplemente se agarra un Alcoya Talk del estate, se lo lleva y él hace un login con sus credenciales. El ingeniero, previendo ya de que este talento bonito no sabe manejar el equipo, él hace la programación de ese Alcoya basado en el perfil del cliente. Entonces, cuando el talento se conecta, el Alcoya Talk automáticamente toma todos los parámetros, tipo de conexión, volúmenes, absolutamente todo ya viene predeterminado. Entonces, eso lo hace aún mucho más interesante, que los
Exacto.
talentos no tienen que estar tocando, ni manipulando, ni llevarse un manual de cómo ajustarlo. Todo lo hace el ingeniero desde campo, ¿no?
Directamente. Eso es que, muy buen punto, Carlos, porque eso sí es algo bien importante, sobre todo para la gente de televisión en broadcast, ¿no? Que siempre la gente de técnica tiene miedo, ¿no? De, bueno, si yo le doy este equipo y se lo lleva el
Correcto.
presentador y de repente llega a su casa o donde esté y no sabe ni cómo usarlo, pues vamos a pasar una hora tratando de ayudarlo para configurarlo, ¿no? Sin embargo, si el ingeniero se conecta directamente, hace el setup, se lo deja listo, ahora sí que ya
Y
puede trabajar directamente.
el setup no se lo hace el ingeniero al equipo. El ingeniero hace el setup en el perfil, en el cloud del talento. El talento cuando se
Claro.
conecta, él toma de la nube el setup y se lo arma
Correcto,
al equipo.
correcto.
¿Okay?
Y otra cosa que tienen el talkback, ¿no? Que también mencionó
Tiene
Britta,
talkback.
¿no? Tienen el
Y
talkback, entonces
una
tienen la
cosa que yo le
interacción
pregunto
total.
mucho a Britney y es muy interesante, el Alcoya Talk puedes manejar dos canales, un canal estéreo o dos canales mono. Digamos que tú tienes un evento donde lo quieres transmitir en inglés y en español al mismo tiempo. Entonces tú puedes con un Alcoya Talk manejar dos canales mono y a un talento lo hace en español y otro talento lo hace en inglés.
Correcto.
¿ok?
Correcto.
Tienes esa capacidad también.
Sí.
O sea, es muy, muy versátil. El hecho de que tú puedes incluir este equipo en ambientes donde ya hay un conreps o un timeline y comunicarte con ellos, lo hace inclusive aún más interesante, ¿no? Que el
Correcto.
cliente te diga, no, pero ya yo manejo conreps, no importa, mi Icoya Talk se puede conectar con, o mis codecs se pueden conectar con tu correo sin ningún problema.
Correcto.
¿Ok?
Excelente.
Ok.
Gracias. Excelente. Gracias por la aclaración. Okay, back to you, Brittany.
Okay, I only picked up like 1 or 2 words out of there. So what I was going to do is move more towards the distribution side, unless we had more questions about the Connect infrastructure or talk. Do you want to stop here and have a Q&A about the remote side, or do you want me to move on to the distribution, because I can continue to demonstrate on here the connections or anything else?
Ok. Sí, no sé si alguien tenga alguna duda sobre la parte de la conexión remota. Sí, sobre las formas en que se pueden conectar de forma remota, para irlo aclarando en este momento, ¿no? Porque ya va a entrar ahora la parte de distribución. Okay, we have a question here from Lauro, right? He's asking if this session is compatible with the communication with AEQ.
Yes. So see, it's through a SIP unit, and that is where I was on the configuration, is going through and in the actual configuration part of this particular codec, you would go with this one. Actually, you know what? User, other. Line, configuration. I'm just showing you where you would do a third-party connection.
Okay.
So it automatically comes with 2 third-party connections. If you want more third-party connections, you would have to pay for that said license for additional ones. So for instance, if you had a serve link that has 128 channels and 10 of them were Icoya products, you wouldn't have to pay for any additional licenses. But if you had 10 third-party units like AEQ, Comrex, Highline, APT, if you had 10 of those, you would get 2 for free and 8 that you would have to pay for if you're doing simultaneous connections. And that's the important part, is it's only if it's being connected at the exact same time and being broadcast at the exact same time. If they're all independent and you're just connecting, you just need one. And you just put it in the configuration, and there's no additional fees for that.
Okay, perfect. Laura, no sé si te quedó claro.
Yo le preguntaría más bien a qué se refiere con conectarlo directo a un AEQ, a una consola AEQ, a un codec AEQ, ¿cuál exactamente es la pregunta, ¿no?
Yo creo que hablaba en general de conexión, ¿no? Con AEQ. Pero bueno, Laura, no sé si quieras aclararlo. Igual en el Inter, no sé si alguien más tenga alguna otra pregunta sobre la conexión, sí, de las conexiones remotas. ¿Alguna duda en la parte técnica? Porque la verdad de las cosas es que es un equipo bastante, dentro de lo que cabe, sencillo de utilizar, ¿no? Y bastante versátil, ¿no? Para diferentes aplicaciones. Ok, creo que Laura no veo por ahí, pero yo creo que podemos seguir avanzando. Y
Sí.
él clarifica eso, podemos responderle. Ok, we can continue, Brittany.
Okay. All right. back over. All right. So you guys already saw this slide. Again, on the left side, you saw the remote contribution side to the studio. And now we'll briefly talk about the distribution side because it's not applicable in every solution. But to cover it, we'll talk about web streaming through a CDN or whatever sources you have. Maybe it's a YouTube channel, but you would do a web streaming device. You have a serve link. So if you have to multicast to more units, you could do it from one unit to many. If you had a syndicated radio station, I don't know what one would be in the Latin America market, but for the US market, like the Ryan Seacrest show is one of the top 40 in the US. And that it starts at one origination and it goes to thousands of different places. And you can do one box of origination and like 1,000 recipients of the same program because of a multicast. So it just depends on how many programs you're wanting to send simultaneously. And that would be from the studio side going out to the distribution. And I'll cover that here in just a moment.
Okay.
Oh, actually, this is more of the remote side. This rewinds back over, but you can take this is the remote codec side, where she just takes the portable codec and then logs in. Carlos, this kind of hits on your point where it doesn't matter which talk it is, you would be able to log in and the talk becomes your own. And all of your settings, the way that you want your headphones or any of that would be downloaded instantly.
Exactamente lo que les había explicado, ¿no?
One of the slides seems to be out of order. Carlos, this is the video that you wanted to show. That shows everybody. So this will help.
Okay. Este video hace como un pequeño repaso, ¿no? De cómo es el proceso de la conexión, ¿no? Desde que sale la persona con su, sí, con el Licuoya Talk y sale al campo y hace todo el proceso de producción hasta que llega la señal al estudio, ¿no? Y cómo tiene la interacción también directamente a través del talkback, ¿no? Con el estudio y el presentador.
Okay, so just like that slide that you just saw, the left represents the remote side, the center is the connect, and then the right is the serve link. So that would be one of them where you can do one to many or many to one. Same thing with the talks. This is where you would have, as you were saying, the radio stations in multiple different areas. You can send that back to a serve link or a dual or an AES-67 unit in general. And then the distribution side is, we'll start with just an STL. So most people are very familiar with what an STL does. You're just sending it straight over a CDN network, or you don't have to. You can just do public internet. It's from point to point. It has full redundancies, and you can do additional internet backups. Like I said, on the back side of it, you see that there's 4 Ethernet ports. You can use some for program in, you can use some for program out. You can use a LAN or a WAN. You see the redundancies and how you can do some of the call monitoring through a LAN. That's, you know, just GUIing straight in there through your Ethernet connection. And you also have on your transmitter side an SD card failover. So say they're not getting any data from the studio side. On the right side, you'll see where it says SD right over this little LE unit near the antenna looking thing, the little triangle. That's its intentional backup for failover. Now, all of the units have an SD card backup, and even the Icoya Talk has a 64 gigabyte internal memory. So now most of the codecs do not have an internal memory except for the Icoya Talk because it does not have an SD card entrance. The actual codec rack units behind me do have the SD card input. So that's why it's showing the STL is like a failover for that particular application. This is one of the multi-programs. So for this, I don't know if a lot of people use MPLS down there, or if you guys call it something different. So you can do multiple programs, full redundancies. A lot of TV stations might use this as a full backup because you have multiple channels being communicated and you want to have two separate boxes that has a direct failover one-to-one. You can have one that's sending all in English to all of the first 16 channels. And then you can have a backup one that's sending all Espanol, Spanish to another one. However you want to configure it, and it can be backed up on different IP programs. And that's what it's saying, MPLS 1 and MPLS 2, or A and B. So you could use that as, you know, connect unit 1 and then connect unit 2, however you want to do that. Do I need to stop there, or are you in? Okay. And here is where you would have most of your syndication distribution cases. This is a lot of the TV stations, or as like a high profile radio where you have high density codec channel transport. A lot of words, I know, I'm sorry. So this can be 128 channels, or it can just be 8, whatever you need to. So if it's Dante, you know, you want 8 or 16 channels, it can be transmitting to these other ServLink boxes, which you can see over here on the right side. These can be in different cities, states, countries, doesn't matter. When I do this demonstration, most of the time, even in Vegas, I switch between the infrastructures of Syntax and also Digigram headquarters. And I show that I can connect to a French solution in a matter of minutes with just logging into my Icoya Talk differently, or I can log into my Fort Lauderdale box, which this is kind of labeled Studio 1 is in LA, Dallas, Orlando. So this could be Cartagena, it could be Medellin, it could be Bogota, it could be wherever. And you can have multiple boxes receiving whatever package you would like, just over a public internet. And this again is one of those that has that hot-swappable power supply. I'll pull out later. That you just, you know, click and pull out and send.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got multiple different ways to do radio. So you can have me creating a contribution, Ricardo, and then Carlos, different people creating products, and it comes into the ServLink, and from the ServLink, then you can send it up to a CDN. CDN then can also stream as many different web radio stations as you need. Just a different way to use the CDN. And then MPX. Just want to spend just a moment on this. I know that not everybody uses MPX, or that people use modulation for the radio, or the any type of RDS encoding. This is the typical way that you would see a radio station set up, which you would have the encoder off to the left, and then you would have the decoder, and then you would have audio processing for each unit, taking up retail space basically in your rack. Okay, and then it goes for the modulation RF. What we do with the MPX is we put the RDS encoding on the send side of all of your channels. So you use up less retail space at your transmitter site. And you can see over on your right side that the modulation for RF amplification is only just doing modulation. It's not doing an RDS input, because you've already gotten the RDS song title, whatever you need, inside the unit to transmit. And we also do a UMPX, which is an ultra compressed as well. So again, it reduces that bit rate where you don't need as much internet or connectivity on the transmitter site. So if you have very little internet usage and you're on a rental space where you can only utilize 100 megabytes for your whole contract, you would have less usage on your infrastructure. It's a lower bit rate using the fluid IP. And you can also do port error correction on any of our boxes. Last one is just a DVB. And anybody need any information about DVB and MPEG? Doing multiplex. It's just basically creating like RTP streams and being able to do a time alignment adjustment and sent to a serve link using backups, and then being able to send out and remuxing it back together at the transmitter site for distribution. So we don't need more on that one. Not everybody uses a DVB. And that's basically it for Digigram on that side. So if there's any questions about the distribution side, I know I kind of flew through that because it's not every solution is applicable for every customer. If you have just TV people, they don't want to talk about radio. If you have just radio, you don't always want to talk about TV solutions. So let me know what I need to fill back in, Ricardo.
Okay, we don't have questions so far, so I think everything is clear. No sé si alguien tiene alguna pregunta en la parte de lo que es distribución, lo que será distribución de señal. O preguntas, porque en realidad ya Brittany ya terminó la presentación oficialmente, pero si tienen preguntas, todo desde o sea, ya sea de la parte de adquisición, sí, recepción, distribución, igual, no cualquiera de los productos. No sé si alguien tiene alguna otra duda adicional. ¿No? Ok.
No, no,
Creo que
no hay,
quedó todo
no hay
bastante
preguntas.
claro.
Ujú.
¿Sí, Diego?
Sí, no, decía que no hay preguntas, Ricardo. Brittany, you talk about the talk bonding working at the same time with Wi-Fi. What is the configuration for that? I mean, how many SIMs you need, or what's the need for the box?
Yeah, so on the box, I'll just show you right here. So the way I have it right now is I have, can you guys see this well?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm utilizing the Wi-Fi and the Ethernet right now.
Oh.
I'm utilizing the Ethernet as a priority and Wi-Fi as a backup. The box already knows that it has priority over this Ethernet.
Okay.
You would program it inside the IKEA talk, and I don't have a slide for that, so I'm going to try to kind of show you inside the IKEA Connect. So can you see the box?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So each one of these has information. This is like Ethernet connection, etc. It also has like the bit rate, the IP address, your DNS, and it also has like auto negotiation.
Okay.
Okay. So inside the box, you can go ahead and program that, as well as inside that configuration profile. So where you guys were seeing my name and what codecs I could call, as well as the SIP part. Let me go back over here. Go and share my screen again. This is the codecs that you would call. You want your IP, your talkback. You can set your jitter. So this is also telling it like how fast, how slow, what do you need, what's your forward error correction, etc., and all of your settings. But usually per box, here you go. There's your inputs, outputs. This is what will drop down in your unit. Yeah. But if you need to do a priority, because it's going to change depending on where you are cellular. Like, so if I'm at the NAB show in Vegas here in a few weeks, these cells are not going to work as well. Like the Wi-Fi is going to be too congested to use. The talk is automatically not going to recommend it, and it's going to see only my Ethernet connection. which is
Yeah.
what we use for live demonstrations. That's what we do for the Ethernet. So there's no additional noise that's going into it. But you can set the stream and the connection through program settings, and you would go through your program settings, see if you want a forward air correction, etc. It's all through the actual unit itself. That's the only part about when you do take your IQOIA talk out, that's the only one thing that you can't configure is because it's based on the box and what it's receiving. So when you're at the studio, it can only see that there's a correct connection, and it can also initiate a phone call or a codec call, but it can't control which port it's using because it's not a GPIO switcher or an SNMP switcher. Does that make sense, or did I clarify that well?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, all right. So, but I mean, it does have a GPIO, so if you do want to do chipsets, you can. If you're at a studio and say like, hey, I want this to trigger on this time, and then bring the audio in, and you can use this as just a small mixer in the studio. You can do that.
Okay.
So if I created clarification or made it make it more,
that's fine. Thank you very much.
and it's
No,
a
that's
battery.
I mean, that's a very good option, right? Because you have bonding as, you know, for example, as let me rephrase my comment. You can have Wi-Fi or Ethernet as a priority, right? And bonding as a backup, right? For example, right? I mean, in case you lose the connection, via Wi-Fi, then boom, you have the bonding, or vice versa. It depends on the workflow, right?
Yeah. So right now I have mine set to manual, so that way I know what I'm like. If I'm clicking on here, that whatever connection I'm looking at, I can look into the GUI if I needed to. But all you would do is just simply toggle over. Difficult looking, but so all you would do is just go to a manual, and it would just switch off to do auto, to jump wherever it needed to jump. But I keep it on manual because I know this connection's rock solid, and I use it at conventions that have 300,000 people all the time. So I know that I'm going to use that as a priority, and I don't even want it to see the Wi-Fi or even think that it's even available, because I know it's not going to work well. So I configure it that way, but that's up to the end user to configure it.
Okay.
Correct. No sé si alguien más tiene alguna pregunta.
José Luis, pero
claro.
se respondió ya con lo que explicó Brittany, Ricardo.
Sí. Correcto. Sí, ya quedó bastante claro.
Sí, me gustaría aclarar algo también, Ricardo, Diego, Adrián y el resto de la gente. No vean esto solamente como un encoder, estudio transmisor o estudio reportero. Piensen un poquito más grande. Imagínense una universidad que da clases a distancia, por ejemplo. ¿Okay? Un profesor alumnos. Los alumnos pueden tener guests, y el profesor puede estar transmitiendo. Iglesias, por ejemplo, también pueden transmitir multipunto. O sea, no es solamente radio o televisión o VisRT, va mucho más allá. Es encoder, es comunicación de audio. Y comunicación de audio cabe donde hay alguien que quiera transmitir audio a infinidad de gente, ¿no?
Sí, y hablando de eso, Carlos, o sea, a mí se me ocurrió un poco antes el ejemplo de una tienda departamental, por ejemplo, donde tienen múltiples sucursales, ¿sí? En diferentes ciudades o en diferentes países inclusive, ¿no? Y pueden tener un sistema de comunicación donde están informando a los clientes de una u otra manera, ¿no? O poner música o una serie de cosas, en general comunicación vía audio, ¿no? Donde pueden hacer la conexión vía internet y se conectan todas las tiendas en todo el país o en múltiples países, y de una manera muy sencilla pueden tener esa solución, ¿no? Que como tú bien dices, va más allá de lo que es televisión y radio, ¿no?
Y acuérdense que no tocamos aquí la línea de tarjetas de audio, que mucha gente hace multiaudio de punto, por ejemplo, cosas como esa con tarjetas de audio, ¿no? También.
Sí. Yo creo que ese va a ser tema de otro seminario, Carlos. las
Y,
tarjetas de audio, ¿no?
y aquí hay, con esto se puede hacer mucho. Para los que me conocen, de los que están oyendo, que son muchos, yo vengo del área broadcast, igual que ellos, por muchos años. Inclusive a ti, Ricardo, te conocí también hace mucho tiempo.
Sí.
Y estoy entrando en esta área. Trabajé un poquito en la parte de radio, y ahora que estoy con audio profesional, de verdad que yo veo aquí que hay mucha tela para cortar.
Claro.
Pueden expandir mucho sus áreas de trabajo, no solamente enfocados en televisión, ¿no?
Ujú.
Canales,
Correcto,
estaciones de radio,
correcto. Sí,
iglesias,
sí,
como
sí.
dije. No le tengan miedo al audio. El audio no
No,
muerde y no come.
Además, Carlos, nos sentimos bien
Exactamente.
apoyados por ustedes, tanto Juan como tú, como, bueno, Brittany para esto en particular, pero realmente el apoyo que dan al canal es muy bueno, así que ahí esperamos seguir aventándoles
Seguro que sí.
cositas.
Seguro que
Así
sí.
es, vamos a seguir haciendo más seminarios.
Seguro.
Yo creo que pues, con esto llegamos, yo creo que al final, sí, me
Ujú.
gusta normalmente tratar de terminar a la hora en punto, pero bueno, creo que valió la pena. Igual mucha gente nos va a ver más por sobre demanda, entonces igual ya nos estarán contactando en forma individual para hacer preguntas adicionales que tengan. Brittany, thank you very much for your help, with this seminar. I was telling Carlos that, this could be the first one, and then we could do more webinars, right? To talk about, for example, the Digigram audio cards, right? And that could be, for another webinar. So thank you very much again for
Thank
your
you.
time, right? For your help.
It's my pleasure.
Carlos, gracias por tu
Gracias.
apoyo. Gracias, Diego, Adrián. Gracias a todos. Y esperamos verlos pronto en otro webinar. Y bueno, como les digo, vamos a después hacerles llegar el enlace para la
Antes,
grabación.
antes de que se nos olviden, pasen por el stand de nosotros en la NAP si quieren ver los
Sí,
equipos de
sí,
RM, de
Así es.
Digigram, Ferrofish y de todas las líneas, ¿ok?
Ahí van a
exactamente.
estar mostrando, qué bueno que lo mencionaste, ahí van a estar mostrando todos los equipos. Entonces es una buena oportunidad para ver los equipos físicamente. ¿Ok? Bueno, gracias. Thank you.
Hasta
Thank you.
luego.
Hasta la
Bye.
Bye
próxima.
bye. Take
Bye.
it.